Good evening, everyone. Today is June 10th, 2024. This is the June meeting of the Recreation Advisory Board. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Chairman Simon,
Present.
Vice Chair Sanchez,
Present.
Councilwoman Vargas, Jenna Lafayette.
Present.
Kenneth Phillips is absent. We have 4 present and 1 absent. We have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. For those of you listening at home, this is Councilwoman Vargas was kind enough to get us all pizza tonight, so we're all kind of talking with our mouth full. But Councilwoman, thank you, as always, for your leadership on so many issues, and we are in your ward tonight too.
Oh,
so
yeah, welcome.
We are very happy to be here, and we spend a lot of time at this recreation center. So thank you for all that you do.
How more?
So our agenda tonight is we're gonna have we just did a brief tour of the facility here. We have a presentation from Yeleni, who is the director here, and her team. We're gonna do a debrief on the soccer league with Director Grace. We're gonna have a discussion updates on fall and winter recreation offerings. Very quick discussion on summer meeting schedule, and then we also will be talking about some exciting opportunities for fundraising coming up as well. So without further ado, Yeleni, Director, thank you very much for having us here today and hosting us. We know that this is a disruption to your regular schedule, but obviously an important one. So thank you, first of all, for you and Carl and your team for all that you guys do for the youth of this neighborhood and the city. But one of our goals and missions as a board is to be here to support you guys as much as we possibly can, hear from you about the different types of things that's going on in the center here. The tour was very informative. I think gave us all some things that we might want to go back and talk about. But without further ado, please take it away. I know you have a presentation for us. Madam Clerk, do we need to enter the presentation? I'll entertain a motion to enter the presentation from the Iglesias Recreation Center into the record. So
Second.
all in favor?
Hi.
All those opposed? Okay, so that's entered in. Director, please go ahead.
So the picture that you see here was from the swim competition of the summer 2023. And we did come in 3rd place. Hopefully, we can come in 2nd, maybe even 1st, but we'll see.
Is that a swim competition of all of the different rec centers with pools?
Not every single rec, but the ones that have a pool.
Very cool.
So these are
A little note for the people listening at home too. This is the first meeting that we've had for our roadshow that actually has an outdoor pool at the facility too. So we're learning a lot about pools in this presentation. Oh, Weston did it, but it was in the winter. It was in the winter. We never changed really before the pool. All right. Good point though, Director.
So this is everything that we do at the facility, the spaces that we use to utilize for our after school programs for the kids in the neighborhood. Our gymnasium, our community room, our pool, and then sometimes we do stuff outside as well. We have Girls Club on Monday. We have Creative Art Club that's on Tuesday. We have Dance Club on Wednesday. And we have Games and Puzzles on Thursday. And then we try to do movie nights on Friday, depending on what we can all agree on at the moment. So, and then we also do table pool now. That is still new. We got that 2 weeks ago from the assistant director, Howard. He was gracious enough to sell his own personal table pool, so we can utilize that here for the kids and offer something different. We do provide homework help, but I do have to admit, past a certain grade, math is not my best subject, so I try to stay away from that. And then we also have basketball skills and drills for kids that are beginning or would like to learn the basics. They can come here and learn about that.
And are all these programs year round, or are they at certain times?
Yes, they're all year round. Of course, when we do have our basketball season, they kind of
Yeah.
So this is our attendance. Of course, it is low during the winter, and of course, basketball season. We host numerous basketball leagues, such as the Providence Middle School League, our own Providence Recreation League. So numbers are low, but right now. We're trying to rectify that, especially for next year. We're gonna be meeting with schools to provide transportation as well for the younger kids, for that. This is our athletic lead. I'll let Carl speak on that because he runs everything when it comes to sports and stuff for the recreation center.
As of right now, we have, like Joanna said, we have the beginners basketball league. During the regular time, we have basketball. We have the high school basketball clinic that Yeleni and myself like to run right after summer. Usually starts probably towards the end of September. We are going to open it up to probably every kid in the city of Providence, so they have somewhere to go, just to get them prepared for our basketball season. We have a kickball, that we try to play indoors, soccer, football and pool, and then, the girls like to have the jump rope and hula hoop. They like to make it like a competition out of it here and there. So that's basically what we have going on here when it comes down to any sports.
Oh my God.
You love that picture, Anna?
I really love it.
So, we have numerous events up there, as you know. That picture was from our Easter event with Councilwoman Anna Vargas, which I think was an amazing hit. We had a lot of things that day, such as face painting, like an obstacle course, jumpy house. We did an Easter egg hunt in the park, and we had local vendors as well and some gifts. What we did also have for a special event, we had a Halloween party in October. We had a Thanksgiving event as well. We were feeding, displaced families home cooked meals. And then we also had a Christmas event, and her most recent event was a Mother's Day event. So
Can you tell me a little more about the Thanksgiving event?
Thanksgiving event.
Yeah.
So Councilwoman Anna Vargas received some donations, and myself and my team included, we provided bags of hygiene products like soap, some warm pants and things like that for everyone who would need it.
Yeah. You said you were providing meals too?
Yes, we provided
Like
home cooked
Thanksgiving
meals.
dinner?
Yes, courtesy of Carl Camelia's mother. She
Yeah.
cooked everything and it was delicious. So yeah, it was really a team effort.
On Thanksgiving Day or before?
It was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe like a few days before, but Thanksgiving week.
You know, make sure you remind us of that for this year. I'll come and help. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
okay, great.
interested.
Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then we did have a Girls Club event that was in 2023, I believe, in December, where I hosted all the Girls Club from different recreation centers. We kind of just try to empower the young youth of women in our community. And I also think that that was a hit. So, yeah, we had a guest speaker as well for that event.
Oh, Christmas tree, I love it.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites because we did have a Christmas tree lighting with Councilwoman Anna Vargas. And then once everyone was done with that, we had everyone come inside for our Christmas event, and we had Santa and the Grinch here for the kids.
How many Santa?
So, we had 3 Santas, I think. that day. And I'm not gonna say it was stressful because some kids do believe in Santa, and I wanted to separate them as much as I could, but yeah. That's the events that we.
Let me explain what happened there. Because we have 2 events,
Yeah.
so one outside to line the street, and then inside we have one, so we have 3.
You know, all your bases covered.
And then,
Yeah.
oh my God,
To be fair, she did not know that I was hiring one of our own staff personnel to be a Santa. So yeah, minor oversight, but the next Christmas event that we have,
Kids been
I know.
around here, they get to, so.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
oh, yeah.
yeah, those are all the events. And then our center, as we discussed, we do need AC in the gym and throughout the facility. It does get kind of warm in the facility. We would like the light
Oh,
bulbs.
that's on the way. Right?
We would like the gym equipment room light bulb replaced just so we can store things in there as well. And also help us with our storage situation that we have right now.
Yeah.
Carlos, can you read the rest? I think I cannot see. I left my glasses in the front. So sorry.
Sure you
I'm
don't.
doing my best.
The tutors and homework help, so who currently tutors right now? Who helps with that?
So we're doing everything with our staff, the best of our abilities right now. So we are looking for tutors that can provide assistance with homework help for our program.
Because one of the things, Director Grace and I were on a call with, like, Providence College, for example, like, how do we best utilize the colleges in our city here that really should be stepping up to the plate to help on a lot of this stuff. And I'm happy to, connect you with Providence College and in general, and I think if they're able to, they have students that are able to help with that stuff, I think that would be,
That would be very helpful. Thank you.
yeah. Okay.
So we definitely need a new floor. We have an issue in the gym, and more when it gets hot, it gets slippery. So if we ever had, I know right now we have like the, I don't know, kind of call it midnight league, the girls' league happening here in the summer. We might run into an issue that the floors might be very slippery just because of the humidity inside the gym. So that's something that we really want to look into. The lighting in the gym.
Theoretically on that too, if the air conditioned HVAC comes in, that should help solve that problem too. It won't be as humid.
Yes, but we would, with the renaming of the facility, we're no longer Nuta Concana, so we would also have to replace the logo in the gym.
The lighting in the gymnasium, equipment room, and parking lot. So we already spoke about what's going on in the gym. But our biggest focus and my biggest focus, just because she is a woman and we do have females in the gym, in the building. If I'm not here, let's say I go on vacation, it's too dark outside. And I feel like, anybody can just walk up and she won't be able to see them coming, or they can be hiding behind something. So there's no lighting outside in the parking lot. Also parking lots, the lines, I know that Grace had told us that that's gonna be happening pretty soon. And then,
So quick question, Martin.
Yep.
So I know like the parks right there, like the fields, like how far like is the rec center like responsible for?
That's a great question.
to the pole. There's a pole that basically tells you where that splits us. So from that pole on, we are basically in control of. After that pole forward, we have no say.
Where's the pole? Is it the
Literally,
pole playground?
Where the end of the fence of the water park was at,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So the parking lot's not actually yours.
no,
One
no, but
side of it.
because, yeah, just
Yeah.
connected, that's adjacent to the recreation center, but because, I would
Let's say
like to
yours,
add.
It's all the city,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
shouldn't really be a.
But because we do have youth who frequent the basketball court, the playground and the skate park, if there is something outside, we do the best our ability to see
Yeah.
if it's our kids involved to kind of minimize the situation,
Yeah,
so.
and so like this summer, the tables for the pool and splash pad, I saw I think there were only like 2 round tables out there, those are the
Yes,
only tables.
our water park gets very full in the summer, just because we do have an age requirement for the pool. So
Yeah.
any children under the age of 5 is not actually allowed on the pool deck. So we would like more tables in the water park area for the mothers and for more children to sit as well.
Sure.
The security bus.
Councilwoman, yes, please.
Yeah. For me, for the parking lot, I saw the issue is when the buses come in, he can, since the parking lot is so full, so he can turn around, it's not easy to come
Yes,
to,
during, when we host the Providence Middle School League as well, it's kind of tough for the buses. So now they just park on the
On
main
the
street, yeah.
And the main street, that's Main Street, so
It's-
busy, very busy,
Mm.
so that's the one.
With the security buzz, I brought that up to Eleni probably a year ago. It's more of a safety thing, again, if we don't have control of who's walking into the building. If the schools have it, why can't the recreations have it? So if somebody walks into the building, I at least know who's coming in before they walk in. Here, you can just walk in, God forbid you have a gun or anything's going on. Now you're in the building, and now we have a whole mess going on right now, so. That's something that we really would like to have here, just for safety concerns.
Do any of the rec centers have buzzers?
No. Actually, better answer to that question would be no. there's some plans for certain centers to access control. We have another issue which is compounded with that, which is the alarm systems. So those would be tied into alarm systems, which are tied into other systems. So that's kind of what makes it complicated, because you're talking about investing a lot of money to do it like once the right way. So
Yep.
we'll have a good example of what it could be with a couple of our centers coming online in the next like 4 months, 4 to 5 months, to see what that actually looks like.
And the rest of the needs director, I know you want to just briefly maybe touch on some, I know you talked about the HVAC system that's coming, you talked about that briefly, how it's being paid for, and like the other stuff that you're talking about, the reconfiguration and whatnot.
The center received an earmark for $1.2 million for resilient strategy, so it's can be used for capital improvements. Similar to what is happening at the Jocelyn Recreation Center. So we did a walkthrough with Pima and public property and myself last week to kind of talk about what areas need to be addressed. It's gonna have to be some reallocation. I know we talked with the councilwoman about some of the things that were gonna happen here regardless, and so now it's additional funding to try to make some of those things happen. So very beginning phases. So when I say we did a walkthrough, we did it last week. And so
Where's the earmark coming from?
um
One of our federal delegations?
yes. Yep. And so there's some stuff happening in the building, outside the building as well. That are gonna be helpful towards that resilient strategy. So for example, I know you guys talked about like the fence and locking that in. That's actually happening regardless, by the way, which I forgot about. That we had talked about it like last year, so that's already in the plans. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that's gonna happen. You know, with those dollars. Some of the stuff you're already seeing, like the new windows. So that happened last week. That just got finished. Some new paint, and so a lot of things starting to actually happen that we had planned last year. So this will be, you know.
So like the
much-
windows, for example, director, that come from
CIP.
CIP fund?
Yeah. Some CIP, some ARPA. And so some of those had already been allocated. So some of the things that we haven't gotten to yet, we could potentially take care of with the earmark if it fits the criteria, and then reallocate. So it could be pretty cool.
Was the CIP funded again in this budget of the mayor? Is there another allocation of CIP funds? in
There,
This budget, this proposed budget?
not for us necessarily.
They kind of allocated them for the city.
Yeah,
as a
yeah, it's
whole,
already-
right? So that's
like,
a continuous funding.
We had to make those decisions like last year for some of that funding. So what you're gonna be seeing is like last year's allocation actually being. So like when we talked about the windows,
But he proposed, excuse me, replenishing it in this budget? Do you know?
It's separate.
it's separate.
It's separate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not, it doesn't go like into our budget for that. So. Neither does ARPA, so like that was, and that's why you saw so many things for us to get prepared to not have that ARPA funding for
Yeah.
our budget, so we could be sustainable without it, so it's separate.
Gotcha. Well, does anybody have any questions for Yeleni or Carl?
I have a question about the busing of children from schools. Is that something where you'd then be responsible for the child as like an after-school program, and then the parent would come pick them up there, like, or the adult, like, how would that work?
Yes, so Stephen, Grace and I, we spoke briefly, we're still in the beginning stages of it, but what our plan is to increase numbers, especially around this time of year when basketball season is over. We would pick up the children that are already registered with our recreation center in our van that are local schools in our neighborhood. For instance, Webster, Anthony Carnivale, Achievement First, Del Sesto.
Yeah, and so when they're signed up, they sign waivers for that,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
so they have transportation, and a couple other things.
photo
So
waivers.
It's
swim
just
waivers.
intentionally getting them here as opposed to.
And some of the other centers do that already.
Not necessarily, a lot of them are in like better walking distance. And so that's why this presents a unique opportunity because of that. Because for a few of the elementary schools, it's not necessarily like in walking distance,
Yeah, and
safe
because,
walking distance. I would
yes,
say.
and because also we are on the main road,
Yeah,
we get a lot of traffic over here as well, and so.
How
You
many
know,
kids do you get at the swimming pool? When it's open?
so I can't give you an accurate amount of kids per se, but kids and adults, I would say about 250.
Wow.
So we are one of the busiest pools in the summer.
And in order for them to go in the pool, do they enroll in the rec center here as like a member here or?
No, they don't have to necessarily enroll in the summer.
Right.
It's really the registration process for the pool. That's a separate registration
Oh, okay.
process.
So we have the emails and whatnot captured somewhere to communicate with people.
No, we have not had that. We will have.
We will. have
Yeah,
that.
yeah, so it's,
So what they would fill out is a basic registration card of
Yeah.
information, their first and last name, their age, address, just.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think we obviously should collect emails because I think it's one of those things that we talked about a lot as a board is making sure we're getting the message out to families about what programs actually do exist. Because what we're finding a lot of times is that, there are people that really take advantage of our rec centers, but a vast majority of people don't really know what goes on inside the rec
Right.
centers. So how do we, expand our communication and whatnot? I just think that's,
Yeah.
if you have 250 people coming here a day, capturing those email addresses and being able to communicate back out with people about the types of opportunities, for instance, when the soccer league comes up or registrations come up. To keep on communicating with those people about opportunities. Which leads to my next question, which is, expansion of the programs you guys have here, great. But if you're gonna expand, what do you think the biggest demand is for outside of basketball or some of the other things that you guys offer? Like if there were an organized sport in the city, what do you think most people would want to partake in?
I would say the soccer program, but that was in its first year this
Yeah.
spring. So I know it was at West End, over at Belton Park.
Mhm.
Maybe in the future it could be at all rec centers and we could do a league.
Yeah.
But soccer is the main sport that I'm getting from the community.
I agree with that, by the way. It's worth at least our next conversation
you
about
answered
soccer.
correctly.
But no, I mean, on behalf of the board, I just want to say thank you guys for everything that you do. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in here over the past couple of years. I see Carl and see you guys often, in here. And you guys really, as with the rest of our rec center directors, I mean, you guys put your heart and soul into it. We appreciate that. You guys touch the lives of thousands of kids and we're all here for a reason because we believe in recreation. We believe in the department and want to support the work that you guys do. But really, thank you. So I know you guys go above and beyond and we're very appreciative of it.
Well, Carl and I were products of recreation, so this is our way of giving back what was given to
Yeah.
us.
That's great.
And one more question. You mentioned the girls' club, and I know a lot of the different centers are struggling with, attendance for girls. Is that well received? And what sort of things do you do to attract the girls?
So Girls Club, what I usually like to start out, when we started during like the fall, is like a vision board of our goals and aspirations, what we want, and things that they would like to see coming from Girls Club. So they have an input on what they would like to see. Some of the things that we do is painting, bracelet making, again, vision boards of like what they would like as far as like goals in school or like their careers, things like that. Things that they would like to improve on, mental health, body positivity, things like that.
Thank you for the presentation and thank you for the information and for all that you do. We appreciate it. And as far as some of these things go that are on the checklist, we will, work with Director Grace to work on some of them. But I think in particular, those light bulbs seem like there's something that should be easy to fix. So push on that. But Councilwoman Vargas, I'll leave it up to you for closing remarks about Igliosi since it's your award.
Okay, you can come back. We have to plan it for the pool party. Be ready. I like fire.
See me in my bathing suit.
Be prepared.
Mr. Chair, I think there are a few more slides for them to go through.
Oh, are there? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there's a
Oh.
couple more.
I thought the next one I saw was about the soccer league.
Oh,
Oh, that's me, yeah.
oh,
I
okay.
think it's turned over.
Understood.
It's all in one presentation, so I think we
Gotcha.
need to enter as another exhibit or?
No, it's part of
Just
that.
one, okay.
Okay.
So that's a good transition, actually,
Yeah.
Madam Clerk. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But the next item on our agenda list, and Councilwoman Vargas, thank you for all you do at this rec center. We know that you put a lot of time and effort and money and resources into here, and so thank you. For hosting us tonight, but really for all you do. We know that you are a huge advocate for the center. She talks about Igliosi very regularly at our meetings, and we're appreciative for all you do, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to add on behalf of Councilwoman Anna Vargas, when we had our floors in the beginning of this year, it wasn't the best. And she was here Saturday morning with my team and Carl and I, like stripping the floors with us on her hands and feet, so thank you. She really does care, so.
She does.
Oh my God, I wanna say that, but I did because I have a company before for doing the flooring. You know? And then I said, why you not do that? Because this is when I come here, I said, oh, I don't like that. I can do it myself, so wait, I can ask and then, I say question and say, okay, I can do it. I grab the machine and then doing the flooring. And then, that's my, I'm sorry, I don't wanna.
That's what you call it, hands-on councilwoman, right? Well, thank you really for all you do. All right, but that brings us to our next agenda item. We did want to have a conversation, Director, thank you for putting this stuff together on, I will call it the success of our first soccer league, now that we have numbers in and I think some data to look at. Director Grace, I'll turn it over to you to give us a brief overview and then we can talk about, what we want to focus on next with soccer.
Okay, perfect. Carl, Yeleni, thank you for your presentation, because I know this was actually not my idea to do this, but it was a great idea to come here and like have you guys speak and just kind of talk to other people besides me about your center. So it does work. There are some things that you guys can get support for. So, and Councilwoman, thank you. I've been to almost probably 4 out of the 7 events that you've had here. So like you're always doing stuff here. So I agree with the director here. Thank you for everything you've done here. David, are we able to bring that up? You want to do the link first?
Oh, we get it.
All right. So I'm just going to give you guys just a brief introduction to like what the soccer league was with just some visuals, quick, just, we can kind of see how, or some of the stuff that we did. So that was a quick promotional video that we did just to kind of promote the league and get some visuals and support for what we were doing. This league and what was great about it is the board was here for like when we just like talked about it and we were like, oh, and then it came to fruition. But what really helped out, and I'm gonna start at the bottom first, is we had a meeting with what we consider the soccer leaders in the city of Providence to meet with them and kind of tell us how the Department of Recreation should engage with the community to do a soccer league, what age groups, where we should do it, etc. And from that meeting, we got 2 amazing volunteers. So we got Francisco Martinez, who's the head of the Guatemalan Soccer League, and Luis Castanos, who is head of the Providence Pumas. And they not only gave us ideas, but they volunteered every week to help us out with that league. And so that gave us a way to host it, but also learn from what they did. And so, we're really thankful that, we were able to approach it that way and engage the community on it because it was very helpful for what happened. So the engagement, we didn't know how successful it would or would not be. And so we didn't want to, bite off more than we could chew. And so we limited it to like 30 to 32 kids per age group, which is ages 5 to 6, 7 to 8, and 9 to 10. And we also did not have the funding to do the league the way we would want it. We had to purchase new equipment. We had to make sure that since it was our first time, we wanted to make sure that the kids had something to really be proud about and wear and really push the culture. And so we were able to get a sponsor with General Dynamic Electric Boats and Build Submarines to make sure that we could, have the money to run the league, but also do some pretty amazing things for them, trophies, etc., medals. So that was very cool. The reason that, and I guess in our opinion, it was successful was, our first time, but like if you went to the league, parents would come up to you and like there were some pretty good stories. One parent came up and said that they couldn't afford to have 4 kids in soccer. I think one of them was playing, trying to remember where, there's a league somewhere, but this was the only league where all of her children could play because it was free. So those stories and kind of hearing that and people walking by and kind of asking what this is and like what we're gonna do next year and how can we be involved. So I was really happy about, the end result of that and the collaboration and, all the people in the department that came through, supported. We had folks from the Department of Recreation that were there every single Saturday, including David, set up breakdowns and, just making sure they committed to what this was. We had volunteers that we got from the city and the community, probably each week about 15 to 20 volunteers that were able to help out with this. So just a pretty successful program, but I think it was one of our first times where we did like online registration, really promoted it through social media, really promoted it through the schools, through the recreation centers, and used all the tools available to do that. So I think that's where we got the response and the engagement actually worked, and continuously promoting it on social media and through our other outlets. It just happened to get a pretty good result.
Did you have a wait list? Do we know if there was more interest?
We did have a wait list. So there were more kids that were involved. We actually went back to them a couple of times for anyone that, didn't show the first day or second week rather. But yeah, we did have a significant waiting list.
And did they, tell me a little more about the schedule. Was it teams playing each other? Or was it more clinic style?
So it was more of a developmental league
Yeah.
with a little bit of competition at the end. That was what was recommended by Francisco and Luis, was to see what the interest was going to be like. And because we were starting with such a young age group, it was less about the competition and more about the development of the skills and the continuity and just understanding your first or introduction into an organized sport. So we had a staggered schedule. It went from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and we would start with the 5-6-year-olds and then the 7, 8, and then the 9, 10s. Each of them got their own skills and drills and development, and then they would play a scrimmage where they would compete against each other and implement the skills that they learned. So I thought that was pretty cool because it was easier to manage at first, being, that we hadn't done something like that for the Department of Recreation, but it ended up being like really fun, less competitive and more about growing the sport and growing their interest and their skills. So that ended up working pretty well.
So what's your vision? I mean, I'll just say, I think it was a huge success as well. I mean, I think, just first of all, kudos, hats off to you, director, for taking the lead on pulling it all together. And it was done on fairly short notice. I mean, we started talking about it in November, December, and it was up and running by March, right?
Yeah, we had to get ready for May. So like when we
March,
really,
April.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
got down to the wire.
So well done, and to you and your whole team for, I think, executing on a level that that this department probably hasn't seen in a really long time. So I think that's amazing, first of all. Even more amazing is the sponsorship, I think, and the community engagement piece of it. Anybody that's from General Dynamics that's listening to this, thank you very much. We hope that you will keep on doing this type of stuff for the city. But these are the types of things that we've been talking about a lot that have been missing for Providence Recreation for a long time. So want to see more of it, and thank you for pulling it together. I mean, I will say also the fact that you had 15 to 20 volunteers there every week is amazing. Like, we just, when you go to the basketball leagues and whatnot, you don't see the department engaging volunteers at that level. And I think we need to do a lot more of that, especially as we continue to expand programming. We're not going to be able to pay full-time staff to do all this stuff all the time. We're gonna have to really rely on volunteers to step up, coach our teams. So I think all around, just amazing job to you and the department on it. I think it was a remarkable first step into it. I'm excited to see where it's gonna go, which kind of leads to, I think, the next part of the conversation, which is, I know soccer is typically a fall sport.
Mhm.
So I guess talk a little bit about how you kind of see it in the future. Is it gonna stay in the spring? Is it something that would typically move to the fall, or how do you envision it?
So I think for next year, I think we expand to another location. So that we can get to another part of the city and bring, our 5 to 6 year olds up to 7, 8 and see what that looks like. How many we get that participated in the first league to get into the league again. And then ultimately, I think the goal here is we want to have to what Director Mendoza said, maybe we do something at every recreation center or strategically located where we can have our own internal league like we do for basketball, but also competing on the state level. We want to at least, like my goal is to at least have one team that can be competing for the travel soccer leagues that are out here. So soccer RI and making sure that we can put a team together to, take advantage of that. Because we have the resources to be able to get them to games and, et cetera. We just haven't put a team in. And so developmental was the idea to develop them into that competition.
Yeah.
So that would be the
I definitely
ultimate.
want to talk about travel league and
Yeah,
basketball
yeah.
too, when we get to
Yeah.
the winter stuff,
Yeah.
but, so you see more of a competitive type of league playing against each other?
Yeah, developing, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, everything always comes down to funding as you expand and, getting, league started and, sustainable. So,
Yeah.
that's why we want to kind of start small, get another location. And then, I think with that momentum, we could build it out.
Yeah, and I think with fundraising and sponsorships, and we talk about it a little bit later on too, I do think there's this component of like going around asking the local businesses to sponsor a team and things like that, that could also be helpful.
Is there funding in the budget to expand the league this year, or would it need to be solely fundraised?
It's a tough question because we get program expansion, and we did get some funding for that, to like the level of this now. So
There
we,
was $50,000 in the mayor's budget, that was proposed for program expansion. Some of that is earmarked towards, some summer basketball needs, I think, that need to happen. And have been committed to already, but there's a little bit of money that will be left over. But the budget is not quite passed the city council yet, so I don't know if there's
I don't know anything about that.
if there's some maneuvering that could be done to add a little bit of extra money in there.
Yeah.
For
I know that's the only
it'd be
thing holding
nice.
up is more money for us, so it's the only thing.
I'm not on the city council, I don't know.
Oh, pretty quiet.
But no, I mean, but we'll get to the fundraising and sponsorship. It's not solely on the city. There are
Yeah.
things that we just have not done that other municipalities do, and even our little leagues do to a certain extent. They go out and ask for sponsorships and people sponsor a team and whatnot. There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing that stuff. But I do think, Director, I think expanding to another location, at least one, if not two, I think it's something that, I mean, the need seems to be out there for sure. Out of the people that signed up and people that were on the wait list, do you have any idea sort of geographically where people came from? Was it mostly people like from the south side because that's where Buckland was, or was it all over the city, or what was?
I actually didn't take a look at like that particular data because it's not easy to.
Yeah.
But I'm actually happy because David, who's our special projects director, we will have that dashboard access pretty soon
Yeah.
to be able to pull information like that. So we just hadn't had the ability to do it up until like last week. So we're developing that now. So I'll actually be able to answer that question with like accuracy. But once we get to that capability, that's exactly what we're gonna do. But I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly where they came
Yeah.
from.
Well, I mean, I love.
We could look it up one by one, but there's no like report. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no, I love the story that you told, and more as I talk to parents that I interact with every day in the city, I tell them about like the soccer league, and they're like, that's great. We've been looking for things like that. Like, this is like the moment I think people have been waiting for. And so I think we do need to expand it. Again, are you looking at this as a fall sport? Or you think it's gonna be spring to keep it in the
I don't
spring?
want to compete with like the fall because that's when a lot of those programs are happening. I think, we didn't just choose spring because it was like coming up. We could have pushed it out to the fall. It was the recommendation of those guys to
Yeah.
do it in the spring, so that we're not competing with some of those leagues. But as we get bigger, I think then we make the case. to be able to do something potentially in the fall.
Yeah.
Um,
And I'm not saying it has to be, by the way, either. I mean, I think the spring is
Yeah.
probably a good time for it. In fact, I'm surprised that other
Their soccer leagues like pretty much all.
they're all year round, but like
the
we're
recreation leagues are during the fall, though, I think.
like when you're talking about like high school sports and like some of those things, like the league time is
Yeah.
like typically in the fall. But we found a really good spot in between when like basketball ends and before like little league and flag football and those
Yeah,
like summer football starts. So we had a pretty good like 6 weeks where it actually like filled a gap.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
that was pretty cool. So that's why I like that time frame as
Yeah.
well, because we weren't competing with little league, we weren't competing with like flag football when it like really starts. Couple of things here and there, but yeah, so it just happened to be a really good time.
I think it makes sense to keep it during that time personally, but
Did we have what percentage were girls in the league? Or how many girls out of the 90?
Don't have the exact data because it's just hard to pull. But there was a significant amount. It was a significant amount.
it's
One of the
right?
one of the best players, actually two of them happened to be female, so it was actually pretty cool.
And they were all co-ed teams.
Yes.
All of them.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Any other questions about soccer or suggestions or comments or observations about soccer, Councilwoman?
In this area, so we have a lot of people who want to play. But the thing is that we don't have, a space for winter. Because, every league, so want to do it the weekend. But sometimes the time here is also too tight. So I don't know if we can do it, a little time for one league, one other time for another league, because, sometimes people want to come play for winter and you don't have a space.
Indoor league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for recreation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
that's
this is something that we have to give it a little balance, a little bit here, a little bit there. So that's my. We wanna be fair. That's the only thing. For me,
well done. Looking forward to continuing to see it grow. The only other point I'll make is just to your original point about, could you talk about the online registration and how that worked? Your general take of how the online registration system worked, things that might need improvement for the winter, or like things that maybe lessons learned. Because we talked about that as really kind of our first step into online registration. I know we did a little bit during the basketball season, but not tons.
Yeah, so it has been difficult in the past. We've been handcuffed by just like the capabilities of our systems and software. So we've been spending a lot of time trying to improve that and see what, how we can change the capabilities or get access to things. So it was difficult to do the online registration. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not a user-friendly experience. Even to be able to find it. So the way we circumvented that was we started figuring out that we can take people directly to the league using QR codes and just like, and not having to go through multiple pathways and clicks to be able to get there. So we're trying to solve that problem as well. So what worked here was that we were able to create the QR code directly, take somebody to the registration portal to be able to do that. And so you didn't have to navigate anything. But it also should be something that you should be able to find on our website easily.
Right.
To be able to do that. And so that was a capability that was like we were being handcuffed by, software limitation. And so we have recently figured that out. And so we're taking the steps to improve that. So it actually should be, something that'll be easier for next year when we do it.
Yeah, and I know the Director Grace and I have talked about this, but I know you put a lot of work into the website, into our, using our vendors and whatnot, and finding out if our vendor system actually works or if we need to find a new one. But I do think, one of our first meetings in September, I think we'll want to circle back around on technology and website and online registration and making it easier and more accessible. That was one of the issues.
Yeah, I can show you a quick update before we're finished today too, because we have some things that are.
We can't, 'cause it's not on the agenda. But I think for the September meeting, we can.
But it goes into fundraising, so it's part of it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So you'll be able to see it. Yeah.
All right, great. Well, well done to you, well done to the team, well done to the board. I think it's I went to a couple of the Saturday morning events, and people seemed like they were having a great time. They were learning, they were happy to be there, and I think a lot of different faces too. It's not just the people that you saw that comes in, and that's, obviously want to be supportive of the kids that constantly come through our rec centers, but it was different faces. It wasn't the same people that we see every night, so. Great job. I'm gonna, because this kind of transitions, I'm gonna skip ahead to agenda item number 4, which is our meeting schedule. It's gonna be very quick, but I think it translates into our sort of our discussion on fall and winter, but this will be the last, if everybody agrees with it, what I propose is breaking for the summer, so taking July and August off and reconvening again back in September. Do folks agree with that, disagree, or?
Well, for the city council, I'm sorry, we have off, I'm working, but yeah. I'm working because I have the family fun and the party. So, and I always continue to that, but for me, it's okay,
Okay,
because I have that.
yeah, I think we can, we've been meeting for 8 months straight, I think at this point. I think we can take the summer.
What's the timeline of programming in the fall? Once basketball and stuff start?
Basketball, so.
Yeah, we should be able to pick back up pretty quickly in the fall, but it does lead into, let's just go into the next agenda. And so if unless you hear otherwise, or any emergency meetings or whatnot, just assume our next meeting will be at the very
Can
beginning
we,
of September.
like, can we do something like unofficial where like we do like a quick check-in? Because there is one thing that you guys will probably want to just know about before September comes. Just a check-in.
You could send it to the clerks to get it over to us if it's
Okay,
like
cool.
official committee business.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I can also, if we need to get information out there, I can also communicate with the board members.
Okay, cool. All right.
But it does lead us into our next agenda item, which is fall and winter recreation offerings. So we know there's basketball, and we know there's gonna be things we're gonna be improving on basketball. And hopefully with basketball, we knock it out of the park, and every, rec center has multiple, multiple teams for all the divisions. But Director, just, we did talk about, I think in our last meeting, the fall seems to be a time where it's a quiet time in the rec department. And obviously there's a lot of preparation that goes into our basketball season, but it's also an opportunity to potentially do some new programming for the fall. We had discussed things potentially like maybe like a flag football league or volleyball or something like that that might make sense. Sort of at least plug the hole sort of in between for a fall offering. So turn it over to you to let us know what's already planned for the fall and the winter.
Yeah, appreciate that. So we have decided our like fall premiere offering, we're trying to do the bowling league. So the first thing I do, like before I start thinking about other ideas, like I did go to our team, I talked to a few directors, and there's a few things that they mentioned. They mentioned dodgeball, that was a good one, bowling. And then when I heard about the bowling league and how that was actually like put on, it was like an official league where you bring the kids to, like they keep stats, like it's like the real deal. And so I wanted to see something like that, get back in, that was recreation wide. And so that was what we decided is going to be our premier fall sport. So we're looking for sponsorship for that. And then there's going to be a STEM element to it as well, for just like a learning outcome, to understand the physics of bowling and like, and we're also looking to partner with obviously a bowling alley, but some semi-pro bowlers to be able to help with the kids and be able to teach them some things as well. So that's going to be like the premier offering for the fall. There's another thing that's we haven't really discussed, and it's not like athletics based, but we're really focusing on the mayor's education plan. So I'm on his education team. I'm on that transition team for the district back to local control. So I have a lot of conversations about what the extended learning can and will look like, and expanding those offerings, specifically for elementary and middle school. And so we're going to be looking at partnering and making some official programs between PPSD and the Department of Recreation, so that we can, to what Director Mendoza mentioned, like getting some support for tutoring, but actually having some curriculum derived after school programs as well. So that's in development. We're looking at workforce development. We have this thing, let me just make sure I'm not talking about this later. Okay, good, I'm not. So we're looking at workforce development. So that CPF grant that we discussed, that's going to Jocelyn, David Lopes and Elwood Community Center has a workforce development component to it. So we're gonna be working on some workforce development things, but the first thing that we're gonna try and tackle is something to help our basketball league, which is developing our own referees and have a referee development program that we sponsor that we can eventually get them board certified and bring them through recreation and help them with that career pathway. So we're gonna be working on that. And then age-friendly programs. We had Sue Robio talk at our last meeting, so we're expanding that relationship, and so we're gonna start planning to try to do at least one per, season to start off with, like that happens in the recreation centers, and then some others that are in collaborations with senior services. So that's what's on our plan for the fall for right now.
Right.
And then the other things like you can't really plan for, there's hundreds of events that happen
Yeah.
individually in the rec centers.
course.
Yeah,
Like
that are always going to happen, yeah.
Halloween party,
Yeah, so there's always something that happens in between then, so. But we're working on the way that you will find out about those, because that's like the new development too, which is gonna be great, so.
Just a quick question on the bowling, what's the age groups for that?
We haven't definitively decided. I know there's a recommended age group for it. So I think it's like, it's not like the young kids. I think it's like 4th, 5th grade. You can start up until like middle school. That is going to be the age group. Were you guys here for the bowling program? What was the age group?
I believe we had a 10U program,
Okay.
12U and a 14U.
There you go. Yeah.
So similar to our basketball,
And you're
age
up to
groups,
what, 5th grade, right? Oh, yeah,
Yes.
okay, yeah, you're right, right.
4th, 5th grade, 9 and 10.
And then really briefly, we should talk about winter as well.
So winter is obviously our basketball league, so a lot of preparation for that is gonna go to like how the league is structured and how you sign up for it, how it's promoted, etc. So that's all I have for winter right now, is like really getting our website and our infrastructure ready to do it a little bit different this year, to make sure that we have all slots filled and it's communicated properly. So in terms of winter, like we're gonna have some other things that are on board, but that's like the major goal, is to improve that process. So by the end of the summer, I'll probably have a different answer for you in terms of like some winter programs that will develop, but I would say that is the major goal, is to look at how we put on our basketball program to make it easier to sign up, accessible, and more attended and populated.
All right, any questions or suggestions for Director Grace on fall and winter programming?
Do we know what the bowling league's gonna cost?
Yes, that is on another slide, so I'll go through that. I got a lot of asks.
Yeah.
Oh, is this it? I didn't realize this is up. Are you still going through your slides?
Nope, this is just the fall initiatives winter programming until.
Oh, okay,
But I do have other slides that are based on the other agenda items.
okay.
I think. Yeah. Cause yeah, we have fundraising, so that's gonna be,
Our last agenda, and before we. I guess before we go into that, could we talk a little bit about the pool openings?
Mhm.
We could relate that back to the first agenda item, I guess, but obviously, we have summer coming up before
Yeah.
all of this happens. I know opening of the pools is a big one. Can you talk about the process on that?
yeah, so we're getting ready for that
And
right now.
watermarks?
Yeah, so splash pads open on the 24th, right? And then pools open on the 1st, right?
Yes.
There we go. Always make sure. So many dates. So the splash pads will be the first things that'll open up. And the pools are in preparation for that now. So public property is going around the city, relining the pools, making sure that everything's clean, and they all have a schedule for when they're going to be filled and start getting ready. So that's what happens now. They're checking like all the filtration systems and making sure that the pumps and everything work. Davy Lopes is getting a new even like down from their water main to the new filtration system. So all that stuff is happening now to be ready to open on July 1st. What we're looking at in terms of the pools, I spoke to the director today and kind of told him we need to look at, some more public opportunities for the pools, like maybe one night or some swim lessons on an alternative day. And we talked about that because we've been asked about that from the city and the community to be able to do that. And one thing that, you guys probably don't know, well, maybe you do. So, we get activated, to extend our hours, if we need like cooling centers or if we like get a heat wave. So that's something that, we work through the Department of Recreation and, with PEMA to make sure that we have, the staff and make sure that we have, pools open should that, be the case. Sometimes it's just splash pads, sometimes it's pools and splash pads. Pools are more difficult only because of the personnel requiring lifeguards, so sometimes it's just splash pads that we keep open, if we need cooling centers.
Quick question on that. I know lifeguard, staffing has been an issue in the past. How's that looking for the summer?
We actually, because of that last year, and I think we talked about that, we actually had our own lifeguard training program. So we graduated some more lifeguards this year. There's actually, man, I wish I had my calendar. We actually have a ceremony this week, I believe, at Battistini. I'll get you the date. I just forget the date off the top of my head. Do you guys know?
I believe they said the 22nd, but
Oh, was it 22nd?
I could be wrong though.
It's a Saturday.
It's Saturday. It is 22nd. So Saturday, 22nd at Battistini, we have the lifeguard graduation. They've been training this entire spring. We have our head lifeguard, Ivan Montanez, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's been working with them.
Ward 7 resident.
Yeah.
Ward 10. I know he's a local guy over there.
Yeah, so he's been doing a really good job of just getting us prepared. He met with the directors last week to make sure that we were prepared. So we're in a pretty good place right now. We're also getting like new pool signage and some of that stuff. So everything will be.
Saw the new filter in here.
Yeah. Been a lot of work happening when it comes to pools.
Good. All right, leads us to our last agenda item, which is fundraising and sponsorships.
Cool. Okay, so answer the question first. We are looking for some sponsorships. So adult basketball is going to cost us about $24,000 to effectively run that. The bowling league about $12,000. The golf tournament to be determined, but like that's there for a reason because it just depends on how much sponsorship packets we sell. So there's not like an exact number to be able to do that. Our camp t-shirts, we were thinking about a branding opportunity and sponsorship for that. We pay about $7,000 for like the shirts that go to all the camps. And if we had a branding opportunity for that, that would probably like alleviate some of the costs. So if you know anyone that's looking to do that, we haven't put in the order yet, but we are pretty soon. And then the referee program is going to cost about $5,500. And unfortunately, we submitted our budget, got in, and then two of our vans went out of commission. So we need a new van. Thankfully, it's not like a people transporting van. We were using two of them to kind of, fulfill a need for like transporting some of our items between our rec centers, larger items, etc. So we're in the process of looking for a van, different style of van to be able to. So we only need one because it'll do the job of the two that we have. And so what we were thinking about is with our sponsorship capabilities, like, do we do something where we can have like that type of van, be sponsored and, Department of Recreation powered by whatever so-and-so sponsorship, good partner. And so we're thinking about that as well.
So is the request not in for the van to the fleet manager for public property?
So we typically would have done that and try to do something in our budget. So we didn't. So now we're trying to go through the master lease agreement. And so some of that had been kind of allocated and spoken for. So we're working on it. But like, I'm just thinking even just for because that may happen, right? So I'm not saying that we won't get it that way, but to circumvent any cost, I'm going to try to look at, if there's another way to do that. And then in terms of fundraising, David, are you able to go to the website?
Question around the golf tournament,
Mhm.
is that, I thought that was a fundraising activity, not a cost. Is that- am I
Well, it
wrong?
still costs us money to put it on.
We don't profit from that?
We do.
Lose money?
We do.
We do.
But that's why I put to be determined, and because it's not like an exact number, because we are gonna profit off of it, but like, we came up with some really cool ideas that we didn't do before that we have the capability of doing. So we purchased golf balls, for example, obviously, right? And we could brand the golf balls.
Yeah.
And like, we just can that, right? And so, there's a lot of opportunities, towels, just like stuff like that. That's why it's to be determined. But we're still in the beginning phase of building this, but like, if you see right in the middle, you see a donate button. So like, that's actually gonna be something that we can do. And if you go down, you can go to donate now. We're working on this process, so it might not open up in like where it's gonna go, but like we do have the ability to take an online donation now. Right now we have like, we're gonna change this. Right now, this is just to see what it would look like. But we do have like our sponsorship package on there, or a process. We're gonna update that as well. But what's cool is like we can just make this a simple donation and then have like a sponsorship capability on another page. But this is light years ahead of where we were at, like, you know, in our first meetings, in terms of like where the website is and what we're able to do. And then, you know, part of like fundraising is people knowing about like the events that we have going on. So David, if you go back to the homepage.
Apply online, the donate button.
Yeah, we got to change that too, because I don't want it to say that. So
Yeah.
we're working on that too. No, if you go back, yeah, there you go. So, if you go to events. So we're gonna have a more interactive way. I just wanted to show you guys the example, because we're gonna do this, potentially for, like how to donate and stuff. But if you scroll down, keep going, David. Keep going, keep going, keep going, down to the calendar. So you and I had a conversation about this. This is our test where you can kind of see what's going on in the city. So this is actually live. So David, if you click on anything, like click on. So we're gonna start having things look like this. So, but then we're actually gonna have another programs page where it's just listed, where we're gonna start categorizing all of our programs and events. So you'll just be able to go, click a drop down and go athletics, basketball, and you see everything that we do. So that'll be on another page, but this is cool. And then if you scroll up, David, to the videos, click on this one since it's in Spanish. But like, we're gonna start doing helpful videos for how to use our website. This one is how to rent a video. You can hit play.
Bienvenido al administrador de eventos del
So we're starting to do this too.
Recreación de Providence. Para comenzar, asegúrate de
This is Event Manager. This is how you can like rent a space. We talked about that at one of our meetings where we can, but we're gonna do this for fundraising. We're gonna do this for a lot of places. So, so this is gonna be kind of helping us with our fundraising, because we'll be able to direct people to our site to be able to do this as well. You can stop it, David. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's take a minute and talk about all this. The golf tournament, by the way, is coming up. Is there a date on that yet?
Yes, so you want to go to the golf tournament page, David?
So this is an event the mayor puts together every year. And it raised, I think last year it raised like $80,000 or something like that, right? Steven?
Under that,
Under that?
about 60.
60 or so. But
But we only had one session too. And so that was great for that one session.
yeah.
That was really
So this is a great opportunity for us as a board to help get the word out there. So the funds from this that get raised go into that. When we talked about fundraising, if you guys remember, there was an account that was created through the finance office, I believe, that goes to the Department of Recreation, and it's the money can be used to help fill the budget for things like programming, all the extra things that come up throughout the course of the year. And Steve, maybe you can talk a little bit about how some of the money has been used in the past. But this is a good opportunity for us to talk to our clients, to talk to the people that we work with, our friends, neighbors, and peers, and ask them to participate. They could, you know, as an individual, like T-sponsor, or if they want to play per person or foursome, or if you work for a company or business and you're able to get a $10,000 sponsorship or a $2,500 sponsorship. There's a pretty broad range of things there. I think we should all agree to work on this and help raise money towards this, because it goes directly to the department. So I know I'm going to be putting time into that. I hope you guys will also help out with that. It's obviously important and goes to support all the things that we've been talking about as a group. This probably is the single best event to raise money toward. There's not really many others throughout the course of the year, other than just the donate button online, but this actually can give people a little bit of visibility, some time with the mayor, members of the city council. It's like, it's a fun thing to do, but also obviously raising critical funds for the department. So I'd encourage everybody to participate and help out in that where you can.
Yeah, and so we're in the beginning phases. It's going to be held on September 13th at Triggs Memorial. It'll be all online registration for, the sponsorships, the foursomes. And for some of the sponsorship, the platinum, gold, and silver and bronze sponsorships, there'll be a number of other different ways that you can sponsor. We're developing that now, but it is a great way to raise funds. The cool thing about this year is that we're gonna have 2 sessions. So we're gonna double our capacity because we had a waiting list and we had to turn away people last year. But what we have this year that we didn't have last year is like a marketing team, a media content manager to be able to push out some of the stuff we're starting earlier. And you guys weren't here. So like there's a lot, that's different this year than there was last year. So that money.
Sponsorship levels, wasn't there $1,000 tier at one point?
Yeah, yesterday's price isn't today's price, so we went up. But I mean, but you can't, I'm not gonna say no to, to that,
Maybe like you could do like a team sponsorship. It's like,
Well, there's a.
yeah, there's the individual forces.
yeah, so that's just like the price to pay, right? Or is that oh, that's a sponsorship?
I would probably recommend $1,000 sponsorship in there somewhere. That's just my recommendation. Obviously, it's up to you and the mayor to figure out but.
It's been around though, right?
Yeah.
So what's interesting is like that money that we talked about, the majority of that came from like the individual foursomes. So like those sponsorship levels are gonna be different than like platinum is like your sponsor of the tournament. So your name goes
Right.
on the tournament.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that-
no, I understand.
Yeah, so like the $1,000 one, like, I could add it, I don't, what would we call it? I'm running out of medals.
Mhm.
Nickel?
Why don't you do
Copper.
diamond?
Copper?
You do
Diamond?
diamond at 10,000.
All right, diamond and then, okay.
Gold, silver, bronze.
All right, good. All right, so yeah, so that's the basic information. We're still developing that right now, so, but definitely a great way to get involved and does raise a significant amount of money for the department. So an example of something that like we'd spend this money on, we have AEDs in each of our centers and like we're facing a tough decision because the batteries have they're starting to fail. They last a certain amount of time. And there's a shelf life to the actual unit as well for the AEDs. And so right now we're faced with a $25,000 issue of like, how do we replace those? And so that's not anything you necessarily see in your budget. So the support fund would help for us to get AEDs, for example, into the centers and not have to like wait and, because that's something that we do need. So that's an example of what we'd use the support fund for. It's the what's it called?
Shocks your chapter.
Yeah. Like a defibrillator.
We could reach out to like Brown University. I'm sure they have some.
We are looking like an avenue, but like a lot of like they're pretty expensive, so it's not something I've seen personally. Someone's like, here, take AEDs, but like that's something we could use a support fund for, just to make sure we have stuff like that.
Another way to get that right somehow.
Well, I mean, I agree with that. You have to use it to plug the holes where needed. I also really think the city should probably fund that stuff. I really do
It's
think
like
that this
critical
fund should be
equipment,
used.
right?
This fund should really.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like, because it's critical equipment, like we don't really have a lot of time to like research and try to wait for someone to give it to us.
Look, I mean, my personal opinion is that stuff should be in the budget. I really think that this fund should be used for programming on the kids.
Like extra
things like
opportunity.
that.
Well, like 1 or 2 of them would be in the budget, right? But the problem is that, remember, we're facing like an issue with like just replacing batteries. And if we buy a bunch of batteries, then we'll have to replace the entire unit next year. So it'd be more money to do it that way. It's less money to replace the entire unit. That's why we're kind of like in a pickle, because like if we needed to get them in here, we'd buy the batteries and they'd be fine, but then we'd be good for another year. And then we'd have to spend another.
I get it. My point is that we're very limited budget on what we could spend actual programming and actually putting into the centers. And so that one just strikes me as like, that example particularly strikes me as something that ought to be funded through the city budget, but obviously we have to use what we have to use it for, but I do think, I would encourage the administration on that to work with public property and others to.
Yeah, we're not getting assistance, so that's what it's being looked at now from a couple other departments to be able to see what we can do.
Yeah.
But that would be an example, like for example, like if we start summer camp, I'm not waiting, right? So like, yeah, so like, but like right now, yes, we are looking into alternatives, but that would be an example of like what we would do. And
Is there an annual budget that's put together for this fund, or is there?
No, there is not. We are starting to do that. We have a new software that can help us do that. So that was implemented this year with OpenGov, so we'll be able to kind of track that.
All right, I'm gonna ask a tough question. What's that balance of that fund looking like right now?
Of the what?
Of the rec advised?
What, the
rec
support fund?
The support fund.
It's last time I was told it was a little over 100K, I believe,
And that was established
years ago.
years ago.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, years ago. So it's not that much. So like what'll happen is like you'll see it fluctuate. We'll like circumvent costs for things, get reimbursed. So like there'll be some money coming out of the support fund like right now that have been reimbursed, et cetera. So it's it's good to have there because there are things that just come up that we can't foresee.
Flexibility.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's always good to have a cushion on this stuff, but also a good cushion for, some of the last slide that you come to like fund part of the bowling league and, you know what I mean? I think that it's easier for us to go out there and fundraise to people to say, this is going to be used to expand programming. It's becomes much more difficult as well. We're gonna need to buy defibrillators.
Yeah, that's right. But like stuff like that comes up, or like vans.
So, no, I
and-
get it. But,
So it definitely comes
but-
up.
all right. Well, so we will meet again before the golf tournament, but we will be sending out information to everybody about the tournament. If we can help get sponsorships and send the information out there to people, that would be great. In addition, I think that, particularly when it comes to, the winter time and sponsoring teams, director, I do want to have another conversation about like going to local businesses and they might not be like $2,500 sponsors, but they might be like pay $300 to sponsor a t-shirt type of thing.
Yeah, so that's what this is.
Okay.
So I've been talking to the directors, and so when you go into a center now, you're gonna see what's called like their director's binder. It's like their community engagement binder. It'll be in yellow, kind of like the yellow pages, essentially. But what we're doing is we're treating their recreation center as like the center of the ecosystem for like community engagement. And so they have different tabs in its binder. That's like their community-based organizations, schools, businesses, emergency services, other organizations, community centers, right? And so what they're being tasked with is kind of filling out this information and kind of making sure that they have the information about like what's around them to hopefully engage them just for collaboration, but also support. And so we talked about what this looks like in like your community engagement, like funnel stages. And, like who has awareness? So do they know that you exist and that you're here? And what is their interest level based on the programming that you've communicated and what you have? I mean, if anyone in sales here or was, yeah, so you know what this
Oh,
is.
yes.
Yeah, okay. So it is essentially like a sales funnel, but like when we get down to closing or like when they're purchasing or they're donating or providing a service, this is what we're going to start taking companies through and organizations to be able to give us some resources. So we're in the beginning stages of this, which is cool, but that's all kind of tied into like this fundraising and community engagement and awareness. So when Director Mendoza mentioned like going out to the schools and doing that stuff, that's what's going to be in here. So if she's not here, she's on vacation, someone can, go in here and kind of look. Look, got a gym teacher from Del Sesto in here, right? So like be able to engage with them and make sure that there's not a reason that, the community's not working together to help out, the families and the people and the kids here. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess on the fundraising front, I know we've done a little bit of this, but I do think, come September, when we start to talk about this again, maybe gear up for basketball. If we could start to think about like what the price level is for sponsorships for like the sponsor a team, for example, like, and it can't, I'm not talking about like $2,500, we're talking more like, go to like the Elite Bakery in my neighborhood, for example, wants to sponsor the basketball team or like have their name on a t-shirt. It's like $300 or whatever, like something that's probably a little more palatable for some small businesses.
Yes.
Yeah. It can't all be for like the big, the big shebangs. Like General Dynamics deserves every accolade and credit for what they did. It's phenomenal. If we can get more of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll keep on pushing for them.
Yeah.
But I also do think that we need to make some room for like the mom and pops. And
Yeah.
some of the smaller community members too. So if we can, if you guys as a department can think about that over the summer and kind of come back in the fall on what we need to do to put something like that together too.
Yeah,
Wait, what is your Little League charge to sponsor a team?
I think it's like $300.
I think ours is something around that too, yeah.
Yeah.
And that seems palatable, like, is it?
Yeah, I mean, they get the name on the t-shirt, but then again, you're dealing with. Multiple different teams.
Mhm.
And this is one of the things I think we do need to think about. I know we have our uniforms for basketball and they say the recreation center on them, but we use the same uniforms over and over again every year, which doesn't create a lot of opportunity for sponsorship. And so like we could probably raise, like I know like Kennedy had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different teams. If we charged, $300 per team or whatever it is, that's another $2,000 at least that can go
Mhm.
towards, some towards like the t-shirts and whatnot, but the rest of it towards basketball
Right.
and other equipment that, that we need, what that sponsorship, brings in.
yeah,
So-
yeah, and this is what this is the beginning stages of that.
Yeah.
To be able to get that, so this is like what's locally around you, so a recreation director should have awareness of like
Right.
what those businesses are, like you said, the mom and pops, and have already had a discussion, right? And already kind of explained to them what's happening in the recreation center. So the first time you're talking isn't, hey, I need money, right? So that's what this is for, to kind of engage with them and make sure we're, committing to being outside
Yeah.
of our building.
And
So
I also think it's one of those areas too, where we should use our volunteers. Like I know Jenna brought up the Little Leagues, that's an all volunteer operation, if maybe each rec center director like works on, like a volunteer team to help advise them and help them out in the community too. I'm gonna say it has to all fall on them, but like I know for myself in my neighborhood, I'm happy to go to, all the little shops in our
Mhm.
neighborhood and say, could you sponsor a $300 team? And, see if we can get like 4, 5, 6 of them to come together and do it. Shouldn't all come down to the director, and your director, maybe you have some thoughts on this too, but the fundraising in the community doesn't have to all fall on their shoulders. It can come from volunteers as well.
Yeah, just to add, that's the
Mhm.
beginning stages of this and
Yeah.
what we're doing for, especially for programs here.
oh, and also, I mean, remember, like, this is not any knock on like what they're doing. I mean, they were told they couldn't.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So like, this is like a brand new
That is very
initiative.
new.
Yeah, so like, it was
I
like,
was
so that's
told-
why we're.
I was told, like,
Yeah, exactly. So we're like in the beginning stages of it and just kind of building that culture to, like, it's okay, like people will support if you ask.
Yeah.
Is there an option during registration for the league? Like to say, like, I'd like to pay a registration fee of $80 or something?
No, like generally like our leagues are free, so like the option to do it, it's not there. I'm not sure. So we can take a payment. I'm not sure what that would look like, just to be honest with you, because before this week, I'd have probably said no. And now what I've seen is like a strong maybe.
Yeah.
Or
But I do like that though. We talked about this before. So like online registration for basketball, obviously the league is free. If people
Yeah.
can't afford it, we're not asking them to pay a registration fee. But at the end of it, if there's a button that prompts and says, would you like to make a donation?
Yeah.
To help support the league?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
we
would,
can
I
do.
would.
Yes.
I mean, I know there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
I actually kind of took a poll of like my son Anthony's Kennedy basketball team and asked that question and they said, oh, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
like, we would definitely, if it
Mhm.
prompted us at the end to do it, we would make a donation.
Yeah.
It may not be thousands of dollars, it may not be $25, but everything is something.
I think the option to donate, I think would.
Yeah.
Be better than.
That we can 100% do.
Yeah.
Like
But it
that's
takes you to like that page.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end, once the
Mhm.
application is complete,
Mhm.
yes, I'd like to donate. Councilwoman?
I don't know if it's a good idea or something, but for me, if you want to raise it or something, because we have a lot of recreations, so we can do in the art and we can do in the gallery, auction, So if the kid have a beautiful painting or something like
Oh,
that,
like auction it
Oh, an
off.
auction.
we can use
Yeah.
it that
Good idea.
too. Because I saw over there, that's mine, the back, planning show, yeah.
How
So
much?
It's a good idea though, Councilwoman, like maybe.
She's our councilwoman, so those funds are gonna go to this rec.
Well, no, but you're right. I mean, I do think like it's actually, it is kind of a good thing for every rec to do is like a community fundraising night. Like,
Gallery, gallery.
you know, work with the council people in the area, get people
Using the
in,
tools that we have it.
And we talked about it another event, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we
So
have
like,
another one.
kind of
get
doing
a dunk
something.
booth,
Yeah.
put the councilwoman in it, you know, I mean, like $5 a shot, see what you can get. I mean, like, it actually is a good.
Clerks too.
I'll go sit, I'm going to dunk booth.
Yeah.
I'm in.
But no, I was just quickly on that note, I was just thinking like for like the soccer like tournaments or like the soccer league and stuff, like selling like food vendor spots and stuff like.
Yeah, so I'm actually having a conversation about that pretty soon to make sure we understand like how that can get done. So there's some permits and things that like I don't control that we'd have to kind of just get in contact with to see like what is available. It happens now, so if you go to some, I mean, you know, so like I'm not, you know, policing, you know, licenses and things. It's not my job, but like there is some opportunity for that. There's definitely some opportunity for that, like even selling our own merchandise and fundraising that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're actually in the process of that too. Yeah.
Saw the
Gotta
merch
get the
button
merch
on your
going.
store.
Oh, yeah.
Is that live yet?
Can you get it?
No, we had to, so we're trying to figure out the best way to do it, because like we had a way and it was like a profit sharing type of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think we can get more, and then they didn't respond. Long story short, we kind of figured out, we're like, you know, we can kind of like do our own like drop shipping, like, you know, we can just kind of process the orders, you know, once we get the funds, and then, you know, kind of make
Then you
profits.
gotta keep stock of everything.
No, that's what we don't. That's what, yeah. So it's like, you only ship the orders that are paid for.
That's gonna be my holiday gift
Yeah.
for the board members. I'm gonna
Absolutely.
get you-
So,
I'm gonna
like-
get all
Buy your
piece-
shirt, we all
piece-
want
piece
it.
of
Yeah,
merch.
yeah.
All right, well, needless to say, lots of work remains to be done on fundraising. We've come a long way, and, you know, I'll just say, you know, now that we're gonna break a little while for the summer, that I'm really proud of the work that this group has done, that the director and his team have implemented and done and really executed on. We've done a lot in a pretty short time frame, and the best is yet to come.
Appreciate you guys.
Chairman, for your leadership.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, can I just make
Yes.
one comment about dissemination of information? Because
Yes.
both Assistant Solicitor Sheehan and I looked at each other. So anything that the committee needs to know should come to me.
Yeah.
I'll disseminate to the committee,
Okay,
but the committee should be careful to not have discussions outside of a meeting.
yeah,
And David can elaborate.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have discussions, you're just presenting information, that's fine.
but I can
Start
send
having-
things out
You can send things out.
Yeah.
one
Don't
on
have,
one,
like,
as long as
you
it's
start,
not quorum.
you get, start running into concerns regarding a rolling quorum, but what you proposed was fine.
Yeah.
It's not a discussion, it's not voting,
Yeah.
it's just simple information, that's fine.
Yeah, so
If I can
need to-
accelerate, but that's, I'm sure you know what the deal is, so I'm
Yeah.
not worried about.
So if I need to send an update about the golf tournament, then I send it to
You send
you,
it
and
to
then
me,
you send
I'll
that.
disseminate it.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. I knew there's a way to do it. I just didn't
And
know.
then I can harass you guys to raise money individually.
And make a team, I'm ready. Canadians equal.
All right, well, listen, everybody enjoy your summer. I want to once again thank our clerks for everything that they do. And you guys deserve a good summer, so I hope you guys enjoy yourselves. And our solicitor, thank you very much for
you.
traveling with us.
We'll learn something
You do
every day,
always.
every week. every month.
And obviously, you know, our directors, thank you very much. I will, with our last agenda item is public comment, as we always do. We have, some people joining us tonight, so I will at this time open up for public comment, if anybody would like to say. We're opening up for public comment, in case anybody would like to offer any public comment, please feel free to come up and have a seat. No, going once, going twice, all right. So listen, everybody, enjoy your summer. I will be in touch with you. I'm sure the director will be in touch with you. Maybe we can get together informally and not talk about anything and just, you know, have some summer cocktails or something like that. But again, thank you and appreciate all of your stuff. Enjoy your summer. Clerks, thank you. Solicitor, thank you. Directors, thank you. This time, unless there's any other comments, I will
Motion to
entertain a
adjourn.
motion. Councilman seconded by Councilman Vargas, all in favor?
Aye.
Who's our meeting?
While ago.
Okay, right, well, a while ago. So.
Good night.